Hi, it's Rachel Wolfson, and today I'm here with...
I'm Aaron Stanley with CoinDesk.
Wonderful, and CoinDesk is obviously the ones hosting Consensus.
Yeah, we just wrapped up today actually. 3 days of excitement, and we're all, kind of exhausted, but quite exhilarated. It was a great time.
Right, and is this the third year of Consensus, or the second time, or...?
It's actually the fifth year now. We started in 2015, so this is year number 5.
Okay, and so what trends are you starting to see now versus 2015?
Versus 2015. Well, there's a lot more people attending. 2015 we had 700. This year we had almost 5,000. Last year we had 9,000. So last year was a bit of an anomaly. But yeah, I think it's the interest is definitely growing. Across all disciplines of this industry. I mean, it's quantifiable. It's palpable.
Right, I heard last year was crazy. So actually, this was my first time at Consensus, and it was a lot to take in for someone's first time. But I heard last year there were even more people, and it was just crazy, but in a good way, obviously.
Yeah, well, I think it was. I mean, last year Consensus is always kind of a sort of a snapshot of the industry at any given point in time. And last year, in the spring, it was sort of ICO mania, token sale mania. And I think Consensus kind of reflected that. And this year, I think you've seen a marked maturation just in the quality. I mean, kind of a lot of the projects that didn't really have very sound business models have kind of gone under the wayside. But I think the resounding theme from the event this year was just that the quality of content, quality of attendees, quality of sponsors was just sort of palpably, a tangible improvement from prior years.
Right. I mean, so, and I'm a contributor for Forbes. I'm really focused on enterprise blockchain. And we're seeing that a lot more at these events. And I noticed, obviously, you had IBM here, you had Hyperledger, you had all the big players in the space now. So, I'm guessing that was intentional, right?
Yeah, well, we've always had really good enterprise support. I mean, they've always, I think, yeah, we have IBM, Microsoft, we had AWS on stage. I mean, this was the first time that AWS has really talked publicly about their blockchain work. Though granted, in that interview, the guy didn't really say that much. But the fact that he was there was pretty significant. So, we really make an effort to highlight all these different aspects of the industry. It's such a diverse, many disciplines across this industry. But on the enterprise side, you're definitely seeing, now that you actually have real projects in adoption, whether it's trade finance with Comgo, whether it's the IBM Food Trust, whether it's like WeTrade and on the trade finance side, I mean, you're seeing, there's actual projects, in adoption. I think some of these topics become a lot more interesting because it's not just a hypothetical, this is what blockchain could potentially do type of question anymore.
Right, exactly. And as a journalist, I appreciate that because now I know that, focusing on enterprises, that's always good because these are actual use cases that are solving real world problems. Do you happen to have a particular enterprise blockchain project that you're particularly fond of, just out of curiosity?
So, I mean, I'm quite fond of, one of the groups I've been, we had on stage this year was the Consensus Kaleido group, and they've been quite innovative using enterprise Ethereum, and their kind of big push is, the theme of their session was called the Great Convergence of enterprise meets tokens meets the enterprise, right? So I think when a lot of people think enterprise blockchain, they think of kind of a glorified database, right? But kind of merging this world of kind of traditional enterprise thinking, and then also with kind of the token economy, and how can enterprises kind of build business models around tokens, whether it's like an NFT token or whether it's a utility token or whether it's just like raising funds through a token. I think that's a really fascinating use case that we're going to be seeing a lot more of, throughout the rest of 2019. And there's a lot of folks looking at it, a lot of folks talking about it. I think that was one of the clear kind of themes from some of our enterprise content from this year, is that this this enterprise meets token theme is a real one.
That's interesting because a lot of the articles that I cover and a lot of the news that I've been covering has been focused on cryptocurrency neutral use cases of enterprise blockchain. And there was only, one, I think it was what Cardano is doing with their enterprise blockchain that they're building. That involves a token. But that's good to know for me because I'm always focused on like the IBMs and ones that don't really involve cryptocurrency. So it's good to know that you think that that's a trend that we're going to be seeing.
Well, I think even with the IBMs, I think they're starting to recognize that that tokenization and implementation of tokens in some form is where this is going. So folks like Jesse Lund, have been, and they're working with Stellar on some of their cross-border payment. I think there's a recognition there that, tokenization, that the implementation of tokens into these systems is an important use case that they can't be neglecting this because this is ultimately where things are going.
Right, definitely. And I covered the WorldWire network story actually and spoke with Jesse, and you just reminded me, yes, that's a great example of IBM using a token for cross-border payments. So yeah, good call.
Excellent.
Wonderful. And one last question. What do you hope to see at other blockchain and crypto events in the future, like World CryptoCon, for instance? And I don't know if you're going to be there. I hope you will be there. But what do you think that, we can really talk more about that we didn't bring out so much at Consensus? What do you hope to see that we, facilitate and continue on in the future?
I think the trend of tokens in the use of capital formation is still it's one that there's still a lot of, it seems like the rules and the regulations are kind of like, they're sort of becoming clearer and then they're becoming less clear, like kind of by the day. It's like we're on this, one step forward, two steps back, whether it's guidance on ICOs, token offerings. Now after some of the remarks from the SEC this week, it seems like these, initial exchange offerings are potentially, in the crosshairs. So I think like in the immediate next 6 months or so, that's going to be a really hot thing to watch. Is what is the state of kind of tokenized, capital formation, and I guess what I'm particularly interested in is, there's been a lot of talk of security tokens over the last 6 to 8 months, but now that Bitcoin is going back up again, it's like, well, forget security tokens, let's just go buy Bitcoin, right? So right. I'm kind of curious to see how all this security token, how much of this talk kind of increases over the next 6 to 12 months, given that Bitcoin, at least as of now, appears to be, out of its slump.
Right. Yeah. Well, we've just got to wait and see.
We do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This has been great.
Thank you.
Thanks. Awesome. Thank you.